Good evening, everybody. I'm Kath Lloyd from Make the Change, and it's Wednesday, and it's Let's Talk. And welcome to the last session in the Let's Talk Normal series. So, what we've been looking at over the last 5 weeks is N for Name That Feeling, O for I did this the other day, didn't I? I'm so sorry. Observe that feeling. Sorry about this. R for realistic perception, M for motivation, A for accountability, and now L is for living it. Okay, now over the 5 weeks, we've been looking at the different sections because what I've been trying to help you do is build up a picture of how you can move forwards, why, how you can identify bits of information about yourselves so that you are in a clearer position for moving forwards. Hello, Anne, I've just seen you pop up there. Lovely to have you with me. And the thing is, it's... yes, we can talk about all of these things and you can think about all of these things, but nothing is going to change unless you decide that you want it to change. And that's one of the really key points. It's about, trying to think about, on a scale, where you are with wanting to change, because even though the thoughts and the feelings might be tough, life might be tough, you're struggling to understand your behaviour and your way forwards, you might not actually be ready for it. And you hear people say, "Oh, I don't know why they don't do something about it. Life is better." And it's very easy for people on the outside to say all of these things because they are not in those feelings. They're not perhaps experiencing those feelings. And it isn't until you have really sort of experienced what it feels like to be in great anxiety, in great stress, wallowing in the bottom of the change curve, or on the pinnacle of being about to drop off, that you can really understand how other people might be feeling. And I say might be feeling because, all our thoughts and our feelings are very individual to us because we all see it and feel it and hear it in different ways and in different intensities. So when I talk about living it as in, moving towards your better feelings, your more normal feelings, the first thing to think about is how, where your enthusiasm is and where your commitment level is. So that's between 0 and 100. So 0 would be you've got no commitment whatsoever to it, and 100 would be, yeah, I'm fully on board. I'm going to really make a go of it, and I'm going to put every ounce of energy into doing it. And the thing is, the important thing to remember is the higher the percentage, the more likely it is that you will achieve that change. And this goes in all areas of change that you want to make. This isn't just unique to this. It's about whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to be fitter, whether you're trying to develop better relationships with your kids or your parents or whoever it is, whether you're looking for a new job, whether you're starting a business. Your commitment and enthusiasm level is all the same based on this scale. Okay, so the higher the percentage, the more likely it is that you will achieve what it is that you are going to achieve. So if it's what the statistics tell us is that if it's 75% or lower, it's not likely that you will achieve what it is that you want to achieve. and it's going to be a big struggle. So if you are below the 75%, how can you make it more enticing to you so that you've got more enthusiasm and more commitment to meet that aim that you, or that change that you are trying to make? So once you've thought about your enthusiasm and your commitment level, it's about keeping an eye, keeping in touch with, putting your hand on your heart so that you can keep monitoring what your thoughts and your feelings are. Because, we can kid ourselves into thinking, yeah, we're going to do this. Yeah, I'm doing really great. I'm feeling great, I'm feeling fantastic, but it might be deep down underneath that you're not, and you are struggling in some way. So it's really, really important to keep an eye on it, to keep a check on it very, regularly. And this is, when I've talked in the past about your gratitude, that's keeping a check on it every day, and even at different parts through the day. If you are really struggling, then keep a check on, at lunchtime or just after lunchtime, and then when you get in, around tea time, and then again later in the evening if you want to, because it's all about keeping a check on it. And the more regularly you keep a check on it, the easier it is going to be to understand what your thoughts and your feelings are, so that you are in a better position to be able to keep yourself on the balance and keep your progression going upwards in an upwards curve. Okay, so, and the thing to remember is, if this was, if this situation was with your best friend, for example, and it was your best friend going through the trauma, the difficulty, the huge life change, then wouldn't you want to check on your best friend? And so it's only the same, as that. And this is what you've got to remember, that we do it for other people, so we should do it for ourselves as well. Okay, because if we don't do it for ourselves, then how are we going to make a difference? Okay, so it's about keep checking on them. And also it's about respecting those feelings as well, and not to chastise yourself around these feelings, because those feelings are there for a reason. Those feelings are there to tell you what's really going on. It's about, and really keeping you informed of your behaviour, your thought processes. And so keep a check on them, respect them, acknowledge them. So that is about, yes, I feel like this because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, and this is when we were doing the chart with name that feeling and observe that feeling, if you remember on here. Okay, looking at the triggers. Okay, and that is what this is about, keeping a check on it, respecting it, understanding it. Okay, and then you can start to find your level. All right, because if you've been doing that exercise about observing your feeling, you'll have started to understand where hopefully where your level is. Okay, and I'm going to go through some of the other exercises to help keep your balance. All right, and hopefully then you will see a level emerging, and then you will, if you see that level and you understand that level, you will see and feel and hear within yourself when you are dropping off. Okay, so that is about your self-talk, so what you're saying to yourself. It's about what your body is doing in reaction to that, the aches and the pains, the coughs and the colds, the tonsillitis, the tummy ache, the backache, all of these different things, and how you are interacting with other people. Okay, because quite often if we are struggling with our thoughts and our feelings and our behavior, we can become more introvert, shut ourselves off from people. But then on the other hand, some people will try and counterbalance it and become more extrovert to override those feelings, hoping that they will, that nobody will notice, hoping that they will just go away. So it's about looking at the extremes of your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Okay, so what I want, and then when you are going off, okay, then you can kickstart the tools and the techniques or the skills that help you keep on balance. All right. Yes, you might be having some running through your life continually. Okay, but then there are others that you will kick into place when you need them. Okay, so it's rather like, if you've got a headache, it's whether some people will do some meditation, some mindfulness, use essential oils, or, take a painkiller. Then, everybody's got something slightly different that they use. Okay. But what you need to remember is when you are going off balance, don't reprimand yourself. Often we relapse into old thoughts and feelings when we're taken by surprise, when something extreme is happening, when you're poorly, when you're around the wrong sort of people who don't keep you up, then you might relapse, and that is about forgetting where you want to be going and going back to your old habits, and that's okay. All right, that's quite normal. It happens to the majority of us, but it's about kick-starting the tools and techniques as quickly as you can, so that you're not wallowing for too long. Because it's like anything, the quicker you can get back to kick-starting, the more quickly you're going to get back on the level. All right, it's rather like breaking your leg, for example, or or the grand old saying is falling off your bike, isn't it? The quicker you get back on the momentum, the quicker you're going to get back to your level. The longer you leave it, okay, so this is your level. If you're dropping off your level, the longer you leave it, the lower you become, and the harder it is to turn it around to go back up again. Okay, so what we're trying to do is to keep the level, keep the skills moving, so that you can keep on that balance, so that you can stay happier and more content and more fulfilled, and work effectively in all areas of your life, so that you can be the best you. Okay, so what skills really work? Okay, well, it's about gratitude. Okay, it's about reflecting on how you want to be the next day. Okay, it's about who you mix with, and mixing with more positive people will help you to become more positive as well, because all of the time we're bouncing vibes off each other. And we all know the people who moan and groan all the time, or everything's really, really hard work, and it does have an effect on you. And it's just like, always listening to the news, always reading the papers, and it's hardly ever you hear anything good in the news or in the papers, and that can have an effect on you. It's about what sort of music you're listening to, what sort of computer games are you playing. So be mindful of, what you are connecting with. All right, because what you are connecting with will have a focus, will reflect back into you and make a difference on what you are focusing on. And then it becomes a cycle. And what we're trying to do is break the cycle so that, we can move upwards and to be in that better position for moving forwards and succeeding and being where you want to be. Okay, and it's about managing your strengths. Okay, and recognizing your strengths, developing on your strengths, and not seeing the areas of your personality or your education or your qualifications as weaknesses. See it in a slightly different light as areas that you want to develop and become strengths for you. Okay, so it's about, not giving yourself a hard time on the things that you can't do. All right, give yourself a break. All right, be nice to yourself. So, because the nicer you are to yourself, the easier it will be to make a difference to yourself and make a difference to the world. All right, because you have got so many great things, skills, qualities, knowledge that you need to hand out, and it's like passing it on and letting somebody else have the benefit of it. And thank you, Anne. That's a really nice point. Anne says, I agree, we can be too hard on ourselves. And yes, we are. And it's about changing it. And so if you want to start really looking at the benefits, it's about going back to this, which is observe that feeling and start filling in the last part of this sheet, which is about new behaviours, new thought processes. What is it that you want to be thinking and feeling and behaving instead? All right, because if you can itemize it, just like with, at the beginning, if you can itemize that negative, destructive feeling or thought or behavior, okay, you can do it the other way round. All right, because if you see it written down, all right, it's going to make more sense to yourself and you can be more accountable to yourself, okay? Because instead of it wallowing around in your head, okay, you see it written down and it makes a lot more sense and you're more likely to remember it. It's rather like, you hear people going on weight loss regimes and you have to write everything down that you eat and drink, even the sneaky biscuit that you throw in, because if you don't write it down, it's really easy to forget the other 2 biscuits that you ate earlier in the day. And this is exactly the same process. All right, so this here is about writing down your new thoughts, your new feelings, your new behaviours, okay, and then rate them. When you recognise them, you rate them. All right, and you can keep going back to this, adding on, because, the more you do it, the easier it'll become, and then the percentage will go up. All right, and then when you recognise, this is really, really important, when you recognise your new thought and your new feeling, then acknowledge it. All right, and go, yeah, I did it, because that will reinforce it. Okay, and that's what we need to do. For so many years, we've reinforced the negative thoughts, feelings and behaviours with more negative thoughts, feelings and behaviours. Okay, like I felt like this because of the film I watched, and so I had a drink and I feel really bad and I hate myself for it. All of that is reinforcing that negativity. All right, so now it's about changing the cycle. Recognize the positive and congratulating yourself on that, after and record it so that you can remember it, and also if you record it you can see your progress, and that's really, really important to be able to see our progress. It's just like if you're losing weight, or you want to be pumping heavier weights at the gym. Okay, you have a start where, when you sign on at Weight Watchers or Slimmers World, they will record your weight and maybe body measurements that day, and then you go for your weigh-ins, don't you, to see if you are meeting your targets, and that is your progression. Okay, and it's just like with anything like this, it's not going to be a steady climb, all right, because you're going to have weeks that are difficult. There might be something that happens in your life that's going to knock you off balance, and you might forget about doing it, or you might be so unhappy that you go back to where you go a few steps back. But it's like I said earlier, get back on that bike and start pedaling again so that you can keep going. All right. And the other great thing to do is have somebody who will support you. Maybe a best friend, maybe a sibling, maybe a work colleague. Or if you're in a, perhaps you're on a Facebook group, and have somebody that you can buddy up with, because then you can support each other, and that's really, really good, because then if you are feeling down and you express this to your friend or your accountability buddy, then they can help you get through it. They can say, well, you did this and you did really well at that, and what about the other? Had you thought about a different approach, and what approach would you take to get back on your level? All of these different things are really, really important and really, really helpful. Okay, so I am going to now love you and leave you, okay? And thank you for being with me here. Now, next week, I'm going to do just one session on keeping sane. All right, I'm just going to leave it as that. It's about keeping sane, and then I'm going to go on to another series the week after. Okay, so thank you for being with me here this evening, and have a great evening, and I hope that you will join me next Wednesday for Let's Talk Keeping Sane at 8 p.m. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.